We've invited Kim Silberman to join us. She's an economist at Rand Merchant Bank to talk more about GDP. Kim, welcome to On Point, and thank you so much for making time. We're edging ever so close to recession, aren't we? And we've also been seeing how agriculture, having suffered the biggest loss, has been carrying the economy time after time, quarter after quarter. This time it couldn't anymore.
Yes, and in addition to that, what we've had is exports also buoying the economy, which has fallen away in this print. If we look at the leading indicator and what you alluded to earlier, you're looking forward, what can we expect? What does the data tell us in terms of what kind of growth we can look forward to in 2023? And our leading indicator, which tends to lead GDP growth by about 6 months, has gone into negative territory. So I think it suggests that we could see GDP growth also falling into negative territory on a year-on-year basis. So you saw that on a quarter-on-quarter basis, we're already in negative territory. But year-on-year, we may, so looking at it from a more cyclical perspective, we may go into a downward phase of the business cycle into 2023. So that's what all of the leading indicators tend to show us. Part of that is, as you mentioned, all of the things that are weighing on our consumer. So the higher inflation, interest rates, etc. Wages, what we saw in the previous release was that wage data, the wage bill came down from 6% to 5%. And that means you saw your consumer growth slow to 1.6%. Investment picked up slightly to 4.2%, and I think that's probably on the back of some of the renewable energy projects, but also due to base effect. We've had investment being very low for a long time. Looking at the cyclical factors, you are seeing a slowdown in those leading indicators. You're also seeing a build-up in inventories, which doesn't bode well for 2023. So when suppliers and retailers build inventories, it means that demand is starting to fall away, and the inventories are essentially building because of reduced sales.
We're also seeing how much pressure that the mining industry has come under, not only from load shedding, but also the disruptions with logistics, with Transnet. We've seen that they've gone down. Mining and quarrying is down negative 3.2%. This is also quite concerning, isn't it?
Yeah, so when you look at the mining side, we've had a double blow, really. We've got a fall in export volumes. So export volumes have slowed, and we've had a reduction in export prices, while what you've seen is imports have increased. So you've had export prices are running at around 6%, whereas import prices are running at around 18%. So not only are our volumes slowing, and a lot of the volume slowdown is to do with all of the things that we've heard around Transnet, inability to get a lot of our commodities to the port so they can be exported, and we've also then got this price aspect where we were benefiting from the commodity price windfall, and a lot of those prices they slowed down. The growth in those prices slowed down in the fourth quarter, and we're not sure. Those prices, the outlook for those prices depends a lot on China, and we're seeing a lot of geopolitical tension, which may impact on the ability for China to carry commodity prices through 2023.
Kim, I'm keen to hear your views about the newly appointed Minister of Electricity, given that we saw how much the lack or thereof of electricity impacted on the last quarter of 2022. What are your thoughts about this intervention? Do you think it will do anything to improve and bolster the economy later in 2023?
I have high hopes for our new electricity minister. I mean, I think with that what we've seen in terms of one person taking full responsibility for the crisis and being able to act across ministries is exceptionally important. So I do think from a confidence perspective, I'm more confident around a lot of the crisis management is actually going to be implemented, but it's going to take time. So I don't expect to see anything really changing in the next 6 months. Post that, we could see some quick fixes importing of electricity, and also the diesel generators giving us another 2,000 megawatts. So there are some quick fixes, but nothing before the next 6 months. So we've still got a tough time ahead. And also what we've seen is that load shedding really increases inflation. So you've got, we've got, in terms of our economic models, what we can see is that the load shedding has caused food prices, for example, to dislocate from the models because of all this additional cost faced by producers of food that they have to pass on.
Yeah.
That they need to pass on to the consumer. So we are facing, as both the increased inflation and the reduced economic activity effect from load shedding, which is extremely difficult for the entire economy.
Kim, in just a few seconds, you mentioned quick fixes, but definitely no quick fixes for consumers considering inflation, interest rates, and just generally the cost of living going higher. Your prognosis for the first quarter or the first quarter of 2023 going forward, what do you foresee?
Yes, I do foresee that the consumer is likely to remain under pressure and lead the downturn in GDP growth into the first half of 2023.
Kim Silberman, thank you so much for joining us on Point. We really appreciate your valuable input, and thank you for your time.